And now we have our 9th presentation from Salinas Union High School District from Salinas.
So hello, welcome. We are representing the Salinas Union High School District. We are from Alisal High School, Everett Alvarez High School, North Salinas High School, and Salinas High School. Our names are Daniel Regalado Ortiz, Jeremy Reyes, Alexia Magdaleno, Antonio Magdaleno, and Mark Sarate. And our presentation is called Building Empathy Through Cultural Education. So our outline of our presentation is going to be the introduction and background, importance of empathy, our survey findings, as well as our proposal. So Salinas, California is a medium-sized city with about 157,000 people. It is located in Monterey County, and it is home to a large Hispanic population, as well as home to author John Steinbeck. It is also known as the salad bowl of the world due to its large agricultural economy. It is also about only half an hour away from Monterey. Salinas is our home, yet for many outside of the city, it has been continuously characterized as a very violent city due to its high homicide rates. But the community here is frustrated and disappointed with its characterization, and we feel that this cycle has to end. Zooming out to the national scale, human conflicts have been on the rise, as noted by the increase of hate crimes in the past 3 years by the New York Times. Further broadening our perspective to the international scale, tensions have flared between nuclear states of Pakistan and India, most recently, causing fear around the world. Conflict is part of nature, but aggressiveness in conflict leads to less progress. According to Frank Martella, the best way to solve conflicts is to listen and to be heard. That is, sensitivity to the needs of others is necessary. Preventing conflict between countries such as India and Pakistan could save over $34 billion in losses per year worldwide, according to a UN World Bank study. Reduced conflicts means not only saving money, but also reduced nuclear risks.
So, how can people fight less and listen more? We think the key may be empathy. Psychology today defines empathy as the ability to understand another person's thoughts, feelings, and condition through that person's own viewpoint. Research shows that empathy facilitates pro-social behaviors, naturally resulting in more compassion. A study in Reclaiming Children and Youth shows that empathy is closely related to emotional intelligence, which encompasses a set of skills that can be taught. Teaching these skills leads to a reduction in conflicts and an increase in long-term human connections and understanding. Studies also show that empathy can boost already existing empathetic understanding between people of different backgrounds. Unfortunately, a University of Michigan study shows that there's been a 40% decrease in overall empathy levels in college students after 2000, a phenomenon which the Huffington Post has dubbed the apathy epidemic.
For someone to have empathy for a people of a country, they must have some intimate knowledge or even personal experience with that country. A study done for the New York Times asked Americans to locate North Korea on a map. For those to be aware, North Korea is right here, and people's responses range from even to the Horn of Africa, Georgia, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, mainly Thailand, and Japan, and also random places in the Pacific. All of these blue dots are their guesses. It turns out that those who could find North Korea were more likely to prefer diplomatic relations over military interventions. This goes to show that more global education can lead to reduce in military conflict. Harry Truman was president of the United States during World War II and was the one who ordered the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In a 2017 interview with National Public Radio, President Truman's grandson, Clifton Truman Daniel, talked about how a military photographer asked Truman if he had regrets about his decision to authorize the bombings, and he replied with, "Hell yes." Daniel grew up learning about the bombings, just as from his textbooks, just like his peers, without much information about the human cost. The first time he was explored to the human side of the bombings was not until he was in his 40s, and his own 10-year-old son came home from school one day and told him the story about Sadako and the 1,000 paper cranes, which was about a girl who died as a result of the radiation from the bombing of Hiroshima. Learning about Sadako led the grandson of the president who ordered the atomic bombings to become an advocate for reduction of nuclear weapons. Daniel's experience further supports the importance of understanding conflict from a human perspective. And the photo here is showing him in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in a peace ceremony regarding over the anniversary of the bombings.
A recent study on 7th graders shows the positive effects of the implementation of peace education programs at school. Peace education is defined in a UNICEF working paper as the promotion of knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values to create behavioral change in society in order to prevent structural conflict and violence. This paper found that peace education is the most effective when the skills of peace and conflict resolution are learned actively and modeled after the school environment in which they are taught, concluding that there was a significant impact on conflict resolution and communication skills in 7th grade students. This led us to wonder, in a world where conflict and nuclear brinksmanship looms as large as ever, why is empathy in decline? What can we do about it? Could peace education be the answer for our community? To find out, we decided to conduct a large-scale survey throughout the various schools our members were drawn from in the Salinas Union High School District. In particular, some key questions we'd established for this survey were, is there an adequate amount of exposure to other cultures in our schools, and do students feel they've been taught enough about other cultures? As our group had noticed these subjects lacking in the current school system, which made us curious about how our peers felt about this issue as well. In total, we had 563 high school students with the ages ranging from 14 to 18 years old participate in this survey. These students were from the following high schools in Salinas: Alisal High School, Everett Alvarez High School, Salinas High School, and lastly, North Salinas High School. Our first survey question revealed that a total of 80.3% of the students that took part of the survey agree or strongly agree that cultural education is in fact an important factor for preventing global conflict and promoting global community. The second question revealed that a total of 90.5% of students stated having none to 2 classes from the total 6 classes allowed in the Salinas Union High School District, where they discussed the experiences and perspectives of countries other than the United States on a daily basis. This indicates that students perceive that these opportunities are limited. Our third survey question shows that a total of 57.6% of students who took the survey agree or strongly agree that an elective class on critical issues such as nuclear risk and perspectives should be offered at our schools. Our final survey question shows that a total of 60.9% of students either agree or strongly agree that a club branching off from the proposed elective over critical issue topics should exist, which shows overall how students agree with the creation of an elective and club in the hopes of promoting cultural understanding. Overall, the main takeaways from the survey include the fact that students see the importance of education incorporating global perspectives, which schools locally could do a much better job in that aspect. Students also report that very few of their classes actually do incorporate global perspectives and teach about current world critical issues such as global and nuclear risks. As a matter of fact, students are actually interested in an elective class that promotes all of the above that was previously stated, and even more so in a club branching off from said class elective. A major distinction that sets our group apart from others is the fact we're Japanese language learners at our individual schools. Through learning the Japanese language and culture, we've developed and expanded our cultural knowledge and sense of empathy exponentially over time, thus resulting in more understanding for other individuals both in and outside of the classroom.
So over the 4 years of studying Japanese, we've gained an appreciation for the Japanese culture and an understanding of the struggles that Japan goes through. The Japanese program in our district adopted this global competence framework in developing their goals in their curriculum. This framework was developed by the OECD and the Center for Global Education at the Asian Society. The framework is meant to prepare students to become globally competent youths in a rapidly changing world. Globally competent youths are defined as those who understand these issues and have an appreciation for cultural differences, and an ability to consider multiple perspectives. The framework contains the 4 key domains. The first 2 include investigate the world and recognize perspectives. Then communicate ideas and take action. Through this framework, students are able to develop empathy organically, particularly in the first and second domains. We feel that our empathy has increased through the investigation of these issues in Japan and recognizing the perspectives of others.
In the last domain, take action, particularly a group of students from Salinas High School and Everett Alvarez High School did this through their peace mission trip to Japan last year. The goal of the trip was to attend the Peace Memorial Museum in Okinawa and conduct the peace ceremony. Okinawa has a history of being one of the only areas in Japan where face-to-face combat took place on land during World War II. A group agreed that we experienced a strong development in our ability to emphasize after this unit in particular. Based on that experience, we asked, how can we replicate this success of developing empathy in another content area in order to reduce risk of the future military conflict?
And thus, we would like to propose that a new class where the curriculum uses the same global competence framework. We would title the class Global Studies, and in each unit, students would investigate issues around the world in order to learn more about the perspectives of other cultures. Tying back to the results of the survey, we would like to address the current lack of global perspectives that the students in our district said they felt. Through the development of empathy in each unit, students would in turn gain knowledge on reducing tensions and nuclear risks. In addition, we would like to propose a club that branches from the class, and it would be titled the Global Citizens Club, and will focus on the 3rd and 4th domains. Communicate ideas and take action. Here, even students who may not be able to take the class would be able to gain the knowledge on issues and global perspectives and put their ideas into action. The main difference between the club and the class is that the club would focus more on taking action in modern society and less so on the background research unless it's necessary for a project. Taking the elements of the global competence framework, we mapped out how a unit in the class could run. Students would, of course, begin by investigating different historical events and researching how the society and culture all functioned before and after the major events. In our example, when it comes to the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, students would research the culture and in the regions and how it was impacted by the bombing. Students would answer questions such as, how did the culture change as a result of the bombings? And how is the impact felt today? Alongside researching the facts pertaining to each event, the students would research stories such as Sadako and the Thousand Paper Cranes, watch movies such as In This Corner of the World, a movie following the daily struggles of an 18-year-old woman living in Hiroshima during World War II, to give them an understanding of an individual's perspectives. An individual's experience would provide students with a more human face to go along with all the facts, which becomes necessary when discussing major world-changing events like the 2 bombings. That is why we would also invite hibakasha, or nuclear survivors, to present about their experiences. Once students have a clear understanding of the events, they will present both in class and in different events to spread their knowledge. And to end the unit, students could take action to spread ideas with one activity, such as, in this case, with the Critical Issues Forum. It's at this point that the club can branch out from the class, and due to how much preparation events like this take. And they can also go and explore different areas and investigate the world by going to museums. Mm-hmm. And so to conclude, here are some words of wisdom that inspired our research for this presentation. The release of the atomic power has changed everything except our way of thinking. The solution to this problem lies in the heart of mankind. Albert Einstein.
Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Peace is not absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. Ronald Reagan.
And we think the words of these great minds echo our conclusion. Through cultural education, we can rebuild empathy in our community and do our part, however small, to prevent the disaster of nuclear warfare from ever occurring again. Goseichu arigatou gozaimasu.
Blagodario Vas.
And thank you very much.
And that concludes our critical issue forum presentation. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We are welcome for any questions and comments you may have for us. No? Okay. Thank you.